This is ABC 15 Mornings.
Right now at 6 on ABC 15 Mornings, our wildfire watch. It continues. Families forced to evacuate their homes as the backbone fire continues to spread quickly.
Plus, we have new details about the man accused of going on a random shooting spree across the West Valley earlier this week. This morning, we have an update on one of the men who was shot.
Plus, the Suns, they're going to face off against the Los Angeles Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. We'll tell you when you can watch Game 1.
We cannot wait. The countdown is on. And with that, we say good morning to you as we come up on 6 o'clock. I'm Nohelani Graf.
And I'm Mark Thompson. Today is Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, everyone. Now it's a national holiday. It's also the 156th anniversary of the end of slavery in the United States. Coming up, we're going to have a look at some of the events that are happening across the valley to celebrate. But we want to start off, of course, with a look at your most accurate forecast because we are in another weather action day. So we're going to have to brace for more heat.
Absolutely. So we've got holidays to celebrate today. Yeah. We've got Father's Day on Sunday.
Thanks for the reminder. I knew.
Did you remember?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You got to be. Yeah. You actually have to put the card in the mail. You can buy it, but you got to put it in the mail.
That's right.
So it is going to be another excessively hot weekend. It's going to be dangerously hot. Right now, we're in the 90s in the Phoenix metro already. So we've got that rapid warm up coming as well. 116 is where we top out this afternoon. We're also going to have a few breezes move into the valley, and then they'll pick up even more as we move through Father's Day. Tomorrow, we drop by a degree. 115, still excessively hot though, so just make sure that you're doing things that you can enjoy and hopefully indoors and out of the heat, or find some water and stay in it. You can see that pink, that's that excessive heat warning stretching across most of the state, and that is in effect through tomorrow. 7 times we've hit 110 or above this year, and we will look to continue to add to that this weekend. But we do have a little bit of relief in sight in the way of those breezes, and also if you head north to the high country. So I've got that forecast for you coming up in just a little bit.
All right, no, thank you. Now to our wildfire watch this morning. The backbone fire spreading quickly, and it's burned more than 6,000 acres since it started Wednesday. This morning, an evacuation order forcing families in Pine, Strawberry, and Hunt Ranch to leave their homes. The fire was likely sparked by lightning Wednesday night. So much devastation as we continue to track several wildfires that are burning across Arizona, but more help is on the way for people who are dealing with these wildfires right there in their own communities.
Yeah, in fact, Governor Doug Ducey signing his wildfire relief package just yesterday. So that's going to make $100 million available for fire suppression, forest clearing, flood protection. Once monsoon storms hit, those burn scars, you know, we can see flash floods there. Last year, nearly 1 million acres burned across Arizona. Wildfires have already consumed 250,000 acres this year and counting. And we're really only halfway into the year, and already 2021 has a record number of wildfires across the entire country. In fact, data from the Bureau of Land Management shows more than 1 million acres of land in the U.S. has burned this year. That's the highest we've seen in a decade.
New developments in that violent shooting spree that left 1 man dead and 12 others injured this week. A 19-year-old Asian Tricario, he was accused now of opening fire in at least 8 different locations in the West Valley, but the teen opening up after his arrest, according to police, Tricario, he admitted to at least 2 of the 8 incidents. He says that he thinks that he is being followed because of another shooting that happened last month where he shot at a man in the stomach. That teen working as an armed security guard at a Mexican restaurant. On Cinco de Mayo, he says that a customer refused to leave after bartenders cut him off. So when he stepped in, that customer swung at him. This is according to him, but instead of fighting, he says that he pulled out a gun. That man survived. Tricario so far still hasn't been charged with a crime yet for that incident, and he calls the shooting self-defense. But he is now facing multiple charges for Thursday's violent attacks, including murder.
And you can only imagine getting caught in the crossfire. Dozens of lives were changed forever. during that shooting rampage, including survivor Justin Gamazzo. He was running a work errand when the shooter pointed his barrel at Justin's truck and just opened fire. The bullet hit Gamazzo's truck first, and then it grazed the side of his head. You can see it there as he's in the hospital. Gamazzo miraculously is already back at home, recovering with his family. The swelling and the soreness in his head still making it hard for him to even open his mouth, though, so there is going to be quite a bit of recovery here. ABC 15 speaking with Justin's boss, Charles Johnson, who says it really was a close call.
To the left, a little to the right, a little up, a little down. Any of those slightest factors could have really adversely changed this outcome for him and has for other people, unfortunately. So I think that's something I would anticipate he's really going to struggle with for a while.
Stunning. Cognitively, Charles says Justin is perfectly fine. He's the same old Justin they knew. But a GoFundMe has been created to help with the medical expenses. You can imagine they are mounting quickly, and you can find that on ABC15.com.
Wow, inches away from him not being here. Well, a new development in our politically charged investigation, and one of the key officers responsible for falsely charging protesters as criminal street gangs has been added to the so-called Brady list, a list of police officers with a history of dishonesty, bias, and other integrity concerns. Now, this is some grainy video here, but take a look. It is of Sergeant Doug McBride testifying in court about the protest cases we exposed, how he exaggerated and lied about a group of demonstrators arrested on October 17th. McBride claimed that they were a gang and compared them to the Bloods and Crips and Hell's Angels, for that matter. A judge would later toss out those gang charges and specifically called out McBride for presenting, quote, false and absurd testimony to a grand jury. Now you can see our full politically charged investigation. That's at abc15.com/protest.
Want to talk about the coronavirus now and Americans reaching a major milestone. 300 million doses administered in the first 150 days of the Biden administration. Yes,
65% getting at least one dose, but the nation is unlikely to reach the president's goal of 70% of people vaccinated by July 4th. ABC's Christine Sloan has more.
President Biden making a push to get Americans vaccinated this Father's Day weekend, and with just 2 weeks until the July 4th holiday.
We're going to celebrate our independence from the virus as we celebrate our independence of our nation.
300 million shots have been administered in the first 150 days of the Biden administration. But officials say the U.S. is likely to miss Biden's goal of 70% of U.S. adults with at least one shot by Independence Day. The country's hovering around 65% right now, according to the CDC. Vice President Kamala Harris in Atlanta talking about the importance of getting a shot at a pop-up vaccination site at the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church.
You love yourself, you love your family, you love your community. Help us get the word out.
Some parts of the country are now seeing a rise in COVID cases. At least 5 states with increases of nearly 40% or more in the past 2 weeks. The rise in cases attributed in part to the lack of vaccinations.
I am still putting patients on life support machines because they're non-vaccinated and becoming very ill.
The president urging vaccinations amid a growing threat from the Delta variant.
It's a variant that is more easily transmissible, potentially deadlier, and particularly dangerous for young people.
In Florida, officials closing a county administration building for the weekend after an outbreak of COVID-19 among workers. 2 people have died. Meantime, Canada is extending the closure of its border with the U.S. until at least July 21st. Christine Sloan, ABC News, New York.
Well, it is official. The Phoenix Suns, they're going to be taking on the Los Angeles Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. Last night, the Clippers, they beat the Utah Jazz 131-119. Game 1 is tomorrow at Phoenix Suns Arena. Can't wait. We were hoping for a Game 7 in that other series to get even more rest, but it is okay. But point guard Chris Paul, his status, it's still up in the air right now. Today, we are expected to learn if he's going to be allowed to play tomorrow. Earlier this week, he tested positive for COVID. In order to play, he's going to need to test negative twice and then be asymptomatic. So, of course, we're going to keep an eye on his progress and keep you updated once we get more information in. Now, you can watch Game 1, that is tomorrow, Sunday, starting at 12:30, again, right here on ABC 15.
You know, it's hard to tell how it's going to be against the Clippers because when I tuned into that, I didn't watch much of the game last night. I just checked real quick, and at that time they were up by like 15. So, you know, it didn't look that exciting. And so I was like, well, is the Jazz just playing really bad? Are the Clippers that good right now? I haven't paid enough attention as they head into the series here with the Suns.
They are up and down. They pretty much go as Paul George goes. He is their superstar, but at times he can fold under the pressure. I just think we have such a cohesive team, not necessarily one big star, even though we got Booker, but our team plays so well, and that's a credit to Coach Monty Williams as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So our fingers are crossed. In the meantime, sports fans, the Diamondbacks are taking on the Dodgers here at home, and man, they need some help here. They need you to go out and cheer them on, because here's the thing. The team does hold an MLB record right now for the 24th straight road loss. That comes after a shutout from the Dodgers last night. So today they're at home. Go support them. Also, today at the game, the Diamondbacks are going to be commemorating Juneteenth with a number of pregame honors and ceremonies. And then following the national anthem, the Pilgrim Rest Baptist Church Choir will perform Lift Every Voice and Sing, also widely known as the Black National Anthem. Game is at 7:10 at Chase Field. So the sun will be down. Maybe they'll open the roof. It won't be as hot anymore. Think about it. Just think about it.
That's right. And they sure do need your support. That is for sure. Well, also in honor of Juneteenth today, there are a number of celebrations that are happening. One in Tempe in particular. The founder of Clip Dart, a mobile barber and hairstyle service, is organizing this special event. He said that Juneteenth is about celebrating through helping others. They'll have about 150 volunteers in 20 different groups offering services there, including free COVID shots, showers, clothes, food, haircuts. The event today is from 7 until 3. And coming up at 8 a.m., our Carla Navarrete, she's going to be live with a report on more on that celebration and other Juneteenth celebrations. Still ahead, we are also going to take you to the city at the center of Juneteenth's history, how they are using art now to tell their Juneteenth story. Wow, that looks fantastic.
Yeah, we're learning a lot this morning. We love it. Plus, lakes and rivers, they can be a great way to beat the heat, certainly, but they can also be extremely dangerous. So we've got some important safety tips for everyone who is planning to head out on the water this summer. We've got plenty more to come your way on this Saturday morning, Arizona. Stay with us. So one of the really cool things when you look around this state is the terrain. It changes so much. We have these amazing lakes and rivers. I just got out to Canyon Lake yesterday with my mom to check it out. And they're really great places that a lot of people go to, especially during the summer months.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something fun to do and oftentimes free, and you can cool off. But things can take a dangerous turn out there. And our Allison Rodriguez, she spoke to Arizona Game and Fish and actually went out to Saguaro Lake to learn more about these conditions.
The waves, wilderness, and cooler water. It's easy to see why thousands flock to Arizona lakes and rivers to escape the brutal heat. But there are dangers in those waters that are different than our pools.
As desert dwellers, we're not real familiar with some of the hazards around water, in moving water.
Josh Hoffman with Arizona Game and Fish says watch out for the currents in rivers. Don't try to fight them.
We try and just break out of the current rather than follow the current, go with the river. You're going to come out of the water away from where your family is, but you're going to be back on the shore and you walk back to them.
Hoffman warns against overestimating your endurance too. Even if you're an avid swimmer, fatigue can still set in.
It can be really hard to judge distances. And if the water's cold at all, it really takes a lot of your energy out of your body if you're in cold water. And it can be very hard to continue to tread water you are cold, or you may have been injured when you fell out of your boat. You could have a pre-existing condition, say a heart condition, or you've been paddling all day and you're exhausted.
Life jackets are the #1 thing you can do for safety for yourself and children. According to the Drowning Prevention Coalition of Arizona, more adults drown every year than children in the state. Deputy James Cecilini with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department Lake Patrol warns of getting too comfortable out on the water.
Our lakes can become very hazardous pretty rapidly if you're not paying attention.
According to officials here, as of the first week in June, there have already been 10 drownings at the lakes patrolled by MCSO, and 2 of those happened here at Saguaro Lake. Deputy Cecilini says cliff or rock diving can be dangerous or even deadly. And don't think just because you're on the water that the heat won't get to you.
We get a lot of calls for dehydrated people. People come out here, they're not drinking enough water. Although they may be drinking other beverages out on the lakes or the rivers, they need to be drinking water.
And Deputy Cecilini also says that the penalties for drinking and boating are similar to those that are out on the roadways. Lake patrols, they're going to be out enforcing all of these rules and guidelines this summer. But great safety tips to remind folks, especially being around the water. And good point that they made in that piece, Nohe, that desert dwellers don't often think about water safety maybe as much as they should.
Absolutely. And that open water is different to deal with than, say, floating around your pool. The other big one was drinking water. Just because you're in water doesn't mean you can't get dehydrated. And I can tell you firsthand, after being out at Canyon Lake yesterday, those temperatures just as hot out there as they are here in the center of the valley and in the metro area. So right now, it's a mild start to the morning. It's a little warm. So if you're brave and you want to get out for that walk or even that light run around your neighborhood this morning, we are in the 80s, 83 in Chandler, 84 in Levine, but we're already in the upper 80s in Peoria and Glendale, and we're in the 90s in Scottsdale at this hour. It's 87 degrees in Santan Valley. Later this afternoon, if you're pulling the grill out, maybe getting those Father's Day celebrations going early, or you're celebrating Juneteenth today, just know it is going to be cooking right along with you. We will hit triple digits by 10 this morning. It will already be 102 degrees. By lunchtime at noon, 108. So just something to be mindful of. And again, just make sure you're being safe as you're standing near or over that grill. And then in the second half of the day, we will warm to 116. That's the official forecast high for today. And we're going to see that in Mesa and Chandler, as well as Ahwatukee, Goodyear, and Buckeye. It'll be 112 in Wickenburg and Anthem and Cave Creek, 113 in Santan Valley, 112 in Apache Junction. We do continue to be under that excessive heat warning across the valley and Maricopa County, and it does continue to extend to our south, our west, and areas to our north in effect through Sunday. Here in the valley, our breezes start to pick up a little bit today, around 5 to 10 miles an hour, but we could see winds at times up to 15 miles an hour, gusts anyway. Tomorrow, stronger. Sustained winds around 15 miles an hour with gusts up to 20 and even 25 miles an hour. Our temperatures across the state today, dangerously hot to our west, 122 in Lake Havasu City. Check on your neighbors and be safe out there. Limit your time outside. 117 in Quartzsite. Up north, Sedona is going to be very hot as well. 107 is your forecast high. You'll have to go north of the rim to find the 90s in Flagstaff and Show Low today. We also have a chance for some isolated thunderstorm activity along the rim this afternoon and through the early evening hours. And then again on Sunday, same setup moving in from the east, and we could see some isolated thunderstorms staying more in the eastern portion of the state. If you're going all the way up to the Grand Canyon, it's going to be toasty there as well, in the 90s for the next couple of days. But it beats being here in the valley, where we will be above 110 for the next several days. But by Tuesday, we're down to 108. So a little bit of relief. Anytime we can get below 110, it's a good thing. I'll show you how many more times we'll do that in the week ahead, coming up a little bit later this morning, Mark.
All right, Nohe, thank you. Still ahead, do you have an estate plan? It may be hard to talk about, but this morning we're going to break down the steps that you need to take to create a plan for when you are gone.
So the pandemic has changed a lot about how we focus and plan for our health and our future. And a lot more people than ever before are starting to think about wills and estate planning. But where do you start? Joining us this morning is local financial professional Judd Carlson from Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Hey, Judd, thanks so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Good morning, Nohe. Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. So let's just start with the basics because we don't want to assume everybody knows what we're talking about here. What is an estate plan?
So in essence, an estate plan is basically you making your wishes known and putting the documents in place for what's going to happen when you're gone, or in some cases, if you're injured or incapacitated, but still living.
So you have kind of four ways of where we should get started. How do we start? And your first one is write a will or a trust.
Yeah, so the first piece there is you want to make your wishes known. The main difference between a will and a trust is a will guarantees that your estate will go through probate, but it's your wishes to that probate judge. A trust, on the other hand, is designed to keep those assets out of probate and keep things more private. But in the end, you're choosing who's in charge and where things are going to go when you're gone.
Now, there's also something called a living will. What's the difference there?
So there's some confusion. A last will and testament, again, are your wishes of where things go when you're gone. A living will is also known as a directive to physicians, and it's your choices when you're at end of life on what procedures you want done and what procedures you don't want done.
And then on that note, and this is, I think, the piece that a lot of people have been thinking about with their health and with the pandemic and with unexpected loss, especially in the last year, is identifying that power of attorney for your healthcare. And you're saying also for your financial needs.
Definitely, definitely. So, it's kind of interesting here in the state of Arizona, we're a community property state. So a lot of people think, oh, well, if I'm married, my spouse and I have equal access to things. But without a general durable financial power of attorney, your spouse would have no access to your 401ks or your IRA plans because those would be under your tax ID number. So setting up a general durable power of attorney for finance gives someone of your choosing the ability to make decisions for you on the financial side. And then on the other side, a healthcare power of attorney would be the same thing. It gives someone of your choosing. If you and your spouse are injured or incapacitated at the same time, then who's going to make those medical decisions for you? So one gives someone power on the financial side, and one gives them the power on the healthcare side.
So honestly, and especially for the younger generation, also, when you think of estate planning and wills, it sounds like something that's just for rich people, especially if you don't own property yet. You kind of think like, well, what's even the point?
So the idea is if you own something and you want it to go to someone else, you have an estate and you need that estate plan. At the same time, if you are an adult and you need to have those documents in place, especially COVID has brought that around where a lot more people have moved to the forefront of getting those types of things done. But you want to put those documents in place so that you're taken care of if you're injured or incapacitated, but that your estate is handled in the way that you've chosen.
Yeah, I think it's a tough conversation to have. It's a tough thing for people to even think about at times, but an important one, certainly with what you've just laid out. Judd, last one, if people need help doing this, getting started.
And if you want to go to our website, www.apsitaxes.com, we've got some checklists on there for you, but we also offer full-fledged estate planning through a concierge legal program we have.
Excellent. Thank you so much. A definite conversation that needs to be had. And so thanks for getting us started with it. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.